Hi, everyone. David Slavick here from Ascendant Loyalty. It's my pleasure to be with Khaled Nazif from Dsquares. Khaled is the CEO of the company. And Khaled, why don't you share with us a bit about the company, your position within the company, the positioning of the firm, which is a really fabulous firm, and the market that you serve. Would love to get started with that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, David. Such a pleasure to be with you here. So as you mentioned, I am the COO at Dsquares. I'd like to introduce myself as an engineer by training, but also a CX aficionado by experience. Prior to joining Dsquares, I actually spent the previous 8 years in Palo Alto, California, where I kind of lived the Silicon Valley dream with a Stanford MBA, followed by my own startup that was aiming to revolutionize the contact center industry. That later led me to Zendesk, which at the time was one of the top CX platform providers. And from then on, the next step was to return back to Egypt, which is where we're based today. And Dsquares was the perfect landing spot for that. Now, the reason a lot of people ask me was, why exactly Dsquares? And the main reason, we've dubbed ourselves as the global loyalty expert, with presence in around 16 countries, predominantly within Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We're serving some of the largest enterprises within that region. And when you think of large enterprise, you think about your telecoms, your banking sector, oil and gas, and obviously the largest of enterprise, which people kind of forget, is the government. So we have huge, large citizen engagement programs with some of the governments in the region, in addition to FMCGs and large retail. We've been doing that for almost 13 years. So we've been in the market for a while, and accordingly served more than 150 million end users. I usually joke to those that haven't heard of Dsquares, within the region at least, due to our white labeled nature, that I tell them, listen, you must have 100% guarantee that you have used Dsquares at one point or another without you even knowing it. And so that's the story of Dsquares. The unique thing about Dsquares, or our unique value prop, stems from our kind of end-to-end offering. As I mentioned, we offer white labeled solutions, but that really starts or are the equivalent of 3 to 4 different companies stitched together. We start with the consulting and strategic planning part, but go into obviously the tech development, the merchant acquisition, and then the merchant operations, which are, to me, 2 distinct functions altogether. And then finally, we kind of close the loop with the ongoing commercial management of the program itself, which is why we have programs that have been running for 12 years that are still sticking with Dsquares and have seen great success with it.
Beautiful. Which client, across that whole spectrum of business, and government is no easy task, banking is high demand, retail is as well, and the other categories that you shared as COO, not CEO, sorry about that.
No.
Which one has really pushed your envelope as far as your roadmap and you're most proud of? Who do you think is really driving things, without revealing, anything proprietary per se, but from a collaborative standpoint, whether it was white label or otherwise, but you're providing that ongoing development, which is really, sort of driven your roadmap. Some clients come to mind in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a lot of innovation, and innovation in that sense comes from the need for an out of the box solutions. Not necessarily, it's the latest and greatest in AI or something. That's on our roadmap for sure. But the real innovation we've seen is innovative solutions that are out of the box to solve real world challenges that are specific to the local context of whatever client we're talking about. So the first that comes to mind is actually stemming from, the oil and gas sector, not necessarily banking or telcos. And the example I'm giving here is ExxonMobile, because we can speak publicly to it, because we have actually an award-winning program with them. that has really pushed the envelope, as you mentioned. So the program is, ironically, it's a trade program and not just a consumer program. And the main challenge here was Exxon's or Mobil's complete lack of visibility and data once their products, their lube products, have moved beyond the wholesalers. So, they have the whole value or the supply chain, and they only see what they give to their wholesalers. That blind spot definitely hindered, their optimization, potential to upsell. It increased risks like fraud and other things. And so they came to us with that challenge, and we saw, now, how can loyalty solve this? And this is where the kind of the Mobilawi Traders program did some amazing things.
I have to interrupt you for a second, Khaled. I worked on that business. I worked on oil and lubes globally when I was on the Big Four consulting. I traveled all around the world for Exxon. So that whole distributor network, and then getting on down to who the actual user is, and then influencing that volume, and the brand preference and so on. And it's obviously, a highly competitive market. That's fantastic that you're doing that, and be able, it's like B to B to B, right? I mean, it's multi-layer in terms of the distributor that's primary, that's receiving the product is one thing, but then he's delivering it, in the oil and lubes area to the one who's actually applying it and satisfying individual needs, whether it's industrial or consumer. So that's fabulous, and they're a great company to work with.
Exactly, amazing company to work with, great partner. And the nice thing, you mentioned it, right? It's B to B to B and to C eventually, right?
Yes.
And so we actually closed the loop with another consumer program. So it's all working together under one umbrella. And it's just an amazing company to work with. And I think we've created something that has become a reference for them globally. And we're super proud of it.
Yeah. I'm 7 years removed from that, so it's okay that you're working on that account. So finally, just to wrap up, we always promise that these sessions are about 5 to 7 minutes. We're about 7.5 minutes in. Where do you see things evolving in the marketplace? I mean, you mentioned AI is on your roadmap. Some companies are jumping into it, agentic AI, generative AI, supporting content, responsiveness, personalization, things along that nature. And then other people are saying loyalty is really at a turning point in terms of really engaging the customer and leveraging the data. What are your thoughts in that regard? It's a big question, but where do you see things? Where do you see things in the future?
Well, we're really focused. We like to focus on what we call CVM, right? Customer value management. We come from telco backgrounds, and that's a huge part of any telco operator. And we try to replicate that for all our other enterprises. And so what we're seeing, or what we're aiming to achieve, is sort of AI-based CVM, or customer value management. The sort of move from predictive analytics to prescriptive analytics is likely to churn, but that's what we call predictive or prescriptive. But actually taking that and prescribing the right antidote to address this churn, which could be, push this specific campaign to this specific customer with this personalized message. So it's really targeted and kind of automated, which I think where loyalty is aiming for sure, or heading to.
I'm super passionate about that, in the sense that everybody invests in analytics, and there's lots of great solutions that are out there that provide that insight on the data, but then somebody has to provide the strategic value to say, these are your 3 options, 3 steps that you could take, whether it's pricing or engagement or promotion, or to your one example, attrition, and what actually is not only saying they're potentially going to attrit, but what it's going to take for you to make somebody who looks like they're about to become inactive to turn them to inactive, and what are the strategies and tactics to be able to do that. So the fact that you could script those recommendations and help them to get greater value from your solution, that's brilliant. I love it.
And if you'll allow me to put a quick plug, in essence, to be honest, that's the core of our partnership with Ascendant, because I honestly think by leveraging our combined expertise, we can integrate data from every touch point. So kind of this 360 view is needed for the entire customer lifecycle, or the entire customer value chain, from acquisition, retention, engagement, and loyalty. So, so I think
that's what clients are looking for these days, and they're looking for it's sometimes a single stop shop that can provide all of that, and it can be very, very efficient. So, this company, not only in the Middle East, which is super hot, but in Europe, and they're coming to America very soon. So
Yes.
we're going to be working together on a global basis through our network and so on. And I really appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so much.
We're super excited to be working together, and thank you very much for hosting me, David. Always a pleasure to talk together, and looking forward to working together as well.
Beautiful. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.